Quick question. Which side of the aisle do you think is responsible for most of the culture war issues going on today? Who do you think's been the most divisive, the Republicans or the Democrats? No matter what side of the aisle you're on, I would think that most people would agree that it's the radical left that's made these culture war issues so much worse than they really are. That's why you have people like Bill Maher or John Fetterman speaking out against their own party, because they realize that the radical part of their base has quite frankly lost its mind. Well, earlier today, Representative McBride from Delaware, formerly known as Tim, is now accusing Republicans of being weird and bizarre for, stoking these culture war issues. Take a look.
I will not take a lecture on decorum from a party that incited an insurrection. I appear to live rent-free in the minds of some of my Republican colleagues. I wish that they would spend even a fraction of the time that they spend thinking about me, thinking about how to lower the costs for American families. I wish they would spend a fraction of the time that they spend thinking about me, figuring out how to make government actually work better, rather than making it work worse in order to prove that government can't work. They are obsessed with culture war issues. The Republican Party is obsessed with culture war issues. It is weird and it is bizarre, and the American people deserve serious legislators, serious elected officials who are focused on bringing people together to deliver real results for the American people, not to play games and not to engage in schoolyard taunts.
Okay, so the House Democrats held this event to talk about their supposed solutions and vision for the future of America, but as you saw there, Representative McBride used most of the speech to be self-centered. It was a very self-aggrandizing speech. Oh, the Republicans are so obsessed with me. Are they? Are they really? Because I think they're too busy, too focused on actually getting work done. That claim that Republicans are obsessed with her is as crazy as the claim that Republicans are responsible for the culture war issues. I mean, let's take pronouns, for example. If I recall correctly, it was the far radical left who even made pronouns a thing. I think it's like the city of San Francisco has something like 97 different pronouns. And then in Oregon, right now, J.D. Holt, who is on the Oregon Mental Health Advisory Board, apparently she refers to herself as a turtle. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but multiple times. Here's just a fraction of her speaking, introducing herself during Zoom calls.
Hello, everybody. It's JD, turtle and pronouns. Pronouns are turtle and they, them.
Hello, everybody. It's JD. I use they, them, or turtle for pronouns.
Hello, everybody. It's JD, they, them, and turtle for pronouns in the Springfield, Eugene area.
And yeah, that is not a joke, by the way. Fox News reports that turtle is on the list of recognized genders among people who do recognize all the various pronouns. Obviously, I don't. I think, well, yeah, that's a tangent, but again, Representative McBride, you really want to call the right side of the aisle weird after seeing that? You and your side of the aisle should maybe have a little more self-awareness before daring to call anyone weird and bizarre. I mean, it was Tim Walz, after all, who labeled J.D. Vance weird, and we all know how that turned out for you. Speaking of Tim Walz, by the way, small tangent, according to CNN, Tim Walz to launch national tour of town halls in Republican House districts. The reason I bring this up is because a few videos ago, I made the prediction that it looks like Tim Walz is laying the groundwork for a 2028 presidential run. And I don't know about you, but to me, him going on a national tour, hitting up Republican districts, including swing districts, really sounds like he's preparing for 2028. I mean, at least laying the infrastructure and the groundwork and trying to position himself as the future leader of the Democrat Party. But anyways, back to Representative McBride. You want to talk about weird? You want to talk about bizarre? What about all the environmentalists who are destroying artwork, are trying to destroy historic pieces of art to protect the environment? Some of them are even gluing their hands to the road. What about the people who wanted to defund the police? I'd say that's a little weird. I'd say that's a little bizarre, especially when you're defunding police in areas that are really hurting from crime, gang violence. I mean, that is just crazy talk. What about critical race theory in school, or referring to not mothers, but referring to them as birthing people? as if we don't know that. I mean, it's, again, just weird and bizarre, and you could stand to use a little more self-awareness here. Now, I want to be very clear, though. Personally, I don't have an issue with transgender people. I think that, we live in America. You are free to do as you want, especially if you are an adult, if you know what you're doing, and you're not forcing anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. I think where people have drawn the line is when you are trying to enforce and brainwash young children who haven't even hit puberty yet with these ideologies. That is where I think people have drawn the line and things have gone too far. And that's why you're facing resistance. When you face resistance, that's not a culture war issue. That's people saying, hey, what about common sense? Hey, no, not my child. It's one thing to live your life. It's one thing to be the authentic version of you. It's one thing to exercise your freedoms. However, I personally think it's weird when you're trying to push that on children who, again, haven't hit puberty yet. Here is Representative McBride reading a trans-related book to children and trying to impose her beliefs upon them.
She went with her family to the doctor, and the doctor said that she's a girl and everyone should see her and treat her like a girl, right? Which is to say that they should call her Jazz. Yeah. And they should treat her with respect and be nice to her. But can I ask you one more question? So that journey that she had from people thinking she was a boy and the fact that Jazz knew she was a girl to her parents and her friends accepting her as the girl that she is, that journey is called being transgender. And like Jazz said, that makes her a little different from some of the other kids. And Jazz at the end talks about how being different is good.
These
right?
kids are so young, they probably have no idea what attraction is. They definitely don't have any idea what sex is, or at least they shouldn't. Don't know about reproduction. They don't know, again, they haven't hit puberty. So why are we talking about being transgender? We should be talking about age-appropriate stuff in schools. Again, if you were reading like that, I personally think that that's weird and bizarre. And I want to emphasize, too, I know there are going to be people in the comments saying, Daniel, why are you referring to Sarah McBride as her when she's a him and she's just pretend? Look, like I said, I don't care. I personally have no issue with transgender people, and I have met some, and I have referred to them as the pronouns that they wish to be preferred, but I'm not going to enforce that on anyone. If you want to refer to Representative McBride as him or Tim, I'm not going to police your thought. I think that's where I'm coming to. When it comes to my political beliefs, it's don't hurt people, don't take their stuff. I mean, yes, the Constitution, but if you take a look at the Constitution and all the laws, I think it really boils down to those two things. Don't hurt people, don't take their stuff. And my personal line in the sand is when you start involving children or when you try to impose your beliefs on other people. I get there are going to be some who disagree, but I just wanted to explain because I am an independent and I know my stance on that is going to be different from a lot of people who are hardcore Republican, hardcore conservative, and I am more middle of the road, I think, on that issue. But I do think that there is common ground, and if that angers some people, I hope you can at least understand where I'm coming from. Now, at that same, I don't want to call it event. I don't know if it was an event, but wherever those Democrats were speaking, Maxine Waters was there too. You would think that after 10 years of talking about Donald Trump, they would have new material. You know, stand-up comedians always try to stay fresh, try to change up their jokes. But Maxine, Mad Max, has the exact same talking points that we've heard, for who knows how long.
What is Trump all about? Why is he doing this? Now, we know he wants to be a dictator. We know he's in love with Putin. We know he even loves Kim Jong-un in North Korea. We know all of that. But what does he do in gathering all of this power? I think perhaps it is about gathering the power and bringing us to our knees so that when he changes America with his vision, that we will be begging for crumbs, basically, because that's all he will be offering.
A little crazy. Trump has obviously been talking about prosperity, been talking about the next golden age of America. That is the exact opposite of crumbs. If anything, that's making the pie bigger so each of us gets a larger slice of the pie. But the reason she's doubling down and the Democrats are doubling down on that rhetoric is because they know they have no ideas to compete with the Trump agenda. And so I am afraid that they're actually endangering him. Earlier today, I made a video talking about what happened at Trump Tower, where protesters came in. Apparently, 98 of them have now been arrested. But before I get into that, talking about violence, Maxine Waters made this claim about Donald Trump.
What does Trump expect? Oh, I believe he expects violence. I believe he expects confrontation. I believe he's working toward a civil war.
You believe he's working towards a civil war? To me, that sounds like she's inciting violence and perhaps justifying an action that someone or a group of people might take against Donald Trump. The left has truly lost their minds, and that sort of rhetoric coming from an elected congressperson. There are enough crazies out there who will think they're justified in taking actions. And that is my biggest fear. I hope secret security is tight around Donald Trump, especially after the assassination attempts. And I hope that they're doing everything they can to keep not just him and Vance safe, but everyone in the cabinet. I think it's a very dangerous time. Well, like I said earlier, I did release a video. Protesters stormed Trump Tower. 98 of them were arrested. And by the way, one of you pointed this out in my last video in the comments, and I didn't mention it, but it's true. Barron Trump, there are residences in Trump Tower, and we know for a fact that Barron Trump lives in Trump Tower. He's attending NYU, and he's not living on campus. He goes to campus every day for school, then goes back to Trump Tower, where he lives. I mean, their residences are upstairs, and the fact that so many protesters were able to get in is scary. Something could definitely happen. It's a security risk, not just for the Trumps, but for everyone staying at the building, everyone who works there, and maybe even tourists just checking things out. But here is footage of the 98 people who were arrested being loaded into NYPD buses. Yeah, I had no idea that NYPD buses were a thing, but apparently they are. As always, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That is what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So, Representative McBride, probably surprised a lot of people with my take on pronouns. I know a lot of you generally agree with me on, I get comments every video where you're like, Daniel, I've never disagreed with you, and I think you're spot on about everything. I know that I'd like to think I'm self-aware, and, I think about other content creators, people much larger than me, like Megyn Kelly, Glenn Beck, Devery Darkins, the list goes on, right? And I feel like I'm probably unique within this ecosystem we're in as far as being either middle of the road or right-leaning when it comes to pronouns. Like, personally, I don't mind calling Representative McBride a her or a she. Just, if I met Representative McBride in person and those were the pronouns she told me to use, I would use them just out of respect. I know a lot of people would disagree. But like I said, my line is when it comes to kids or when it comes to forcing that on other people. Like, if one of you disagreed and said, no, I'm going to call you he, I wouldn't bully you into calling her a she. I'd just be like, okay, cool. Like, you do you, freedom of speech, right? And so I think I'm just interested to see where everyone is on that. Like, where do you personally fall? Like, if you met Representative McBride in person, would you call her a she to her face? Would you call her a he? Would you call her a she to her face and a he behind her back? I mean, do you think I'm just way off base on that? I really do take everyone's comments seriously, so let me know down in the comments below. I'm not trying to stir up a fight. I know it is a very contentious issue, but like I said, I think things are multifactorial, or I say that a lot on the channel, and I think it's okay. It's funny because when people disagree, they're always like, Daniel, I'm going to unsubscribe from you, or Daniel, I'm going to give you a thumbs down this video. And it's like, no, it's cool if we disagree. I'm okay with, let me put it this way. Whenever people disagree, it always number one, sometimes it'll get me to change my mind, which I'm okay with, because I think when you grow and you're exposed to new ideas, new thoughts, new ideologies, there should be some changing of your mind there, right? There should be some evolution in the way you think, the way you process information, and perhaps even your personality. But on the other side, I think it can also reaffirm your beliefs when you disagree with someone. And I regularly watch a lot of people I disagree with. I've said multiple times, Bill Maher is probably my favorite political show. I hardly ever agree with anything Bill Maher says, but I know he believes what he says and he has reasons for it. And I just find it fascinating to try to understand other people, even if I don't agree with them. And, you know, if you disagree with me and you unsubscribe, that's totally cool. Just sharing some of my thoughts, just rambling. It's just always interesting to see what people do and don't do. With that being said, and specifically as far as like reading comments and being receptive to what people have to say, I've gotten a few comments talking about these new banners at the bottom. From what I've seen so far, but I haven't asked. So these are just people speaking. So I am going to ask now, in addition to the question of the day, do you like them? So far I've seen like from people who have just commented organically, about 80% of you are like, hey, I love the new banners. I think it's a great new look. And about 20% of you are like, no, I hate it. One of you has been commenting just about every video, just being like, hey, just my opinion, but I'm not digging it. And so I do want to ask for everyone's opinion. I do believe that there is wisdom in the hive mind, so to speak. The reason I have the banner, number one, I do cover a lot of stories in my videos. So I figured it would be a good way to help people visualize what's coming next, so they know whether or not they want to stay. I do know that there are video chapters as well, but for whatever reason, the video chapters don't work for everyone. It also allows me to have a little subscribe reminder without me, you know, having to say it like at every point during the video. So for new people, it hopefully gets them to subscribe sooner. And then also for new people as well, maybe it gives the channel a more polished look. But I also get the flip side, right? Maybe it looks too produced, and maybe part of the appeal of the channel in the first place was, hey, Daniel is an everyday guy and he's just filming in his apartment with his dog and his cat. So like, does this look too slick? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. It'll be one of those things where I'll wrestle with it. You know, the channel's growing. It's always evolving. I'm always trying to figure out new things. Anyways, I've been yapping for so long now, so I'm going to stop. But one more thing. If you celebrate Wheel of Time premiere day, let me know down in the comments below. Season 3 dropped today, and I am about to go devour it. I watched episode 1 over this past weekend during a fan event, and it was so good. I'm going to rewatch episode 1 and then go straight into episodes 2 and 3. But if you also celebrate, let me know down in the comments below. And if you follow me on X, you know I am obsessed. I mean, I have a cat named after Matt Trim Coffin, so it says it all. Yeah, no, I love the books, love the show. We can talk about it more. I know that's a controversial statement, especially like for people who grew up reading the books. I mean, it's 14 books, right? And so for people who grew up with them and have read the books multiple times, I understand wanting more fidelity to the source material, but we can have a conversation another time based on how much this resonates or doesn't resonate with people. We'll see. There's a lot in this video that could get me in trouble. But anyways, if you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.